need you to pay signboard tax, or the font you need to pay for font tax, oxygen tax if possible. You pay all kinds of things, and that those begin to become barriers to trade. You now have someone who says, "Oh, look, hey, there's a push towards export, or we can use exports to as a means of growing the economy, growing ourselves." And then you get into the export space, and there are over 11 steps that you need to take, some of them even duplicated. In fact, complicated by the most recent circular from the central bank on electronic invoicing. So you have that, it comes out, yes, we want to have electronic invoicing, but you've now duplicated processes that already the trade portal, the TRMS portal can handle. What are you doing? You're making it more difficult even for the person who wants to get out of this bubble to do business. So everywhere you turn, it's difficult to access credit. It becomes even more difficult. The little resources you have been eaten up by exchange rate and inflation and whatever else you want to call it. The business person doesn't have the infrastructure that they're supposed to, that would help support the businesses to run. So if I want to move something from here to Lagos, I have to move by road. I can't move by rail. It's almost, I can't even imagine using flying those things down to Lagos, because outright it's gone. And then more than 80% of what we use to produce in the country is imported. Now, what we see summarily is that the policy position of the government does not seem to support this so-called ease of doing business. Because if you look in the real world, the people who should be doing more business with us are voting with their feet. So foreign investors are not coming in. That's an indicator that we should be looking at. And that is what we should be marrying to the ease of doing business. You're having diaspora remittances are dwindling. That's an indicator we should be looking at. So why are people not sending money home anymore for doing business? You're seeing that businesses are closing by the second. So you shouldn't be saying, "Oh, we now find it easy. You can go online and register your CAC document." After I have registered it, what happens next? So you've made that process easy. But then the real things that one should be doing in running a business, access to credit, even access to information. So it's like, I'll put it this way, it's like a traffic light that is not working on one side. You're driving towards it. On your side, it's not working. And the police officers that are there are just waiting for you to cross. Once you cross, everybody jumps out. VIO, everybody jumps out. Rather than protect you, because you could have had an accident. But if they were there to say, "Hey, slow down, this thing is not working, watch for the lights," then they're actually working to protect you, but they're waiting for you to commit an error so that they can come after you. So access to information also is not there. So these are some of the major challenges that we face. So I think we can start solving these things by making it really, really easier for people to run businesses. If I'm to open a store, for instance, and say, and I've just bought a parcel of land, and you say, "Oh, I need a collateral. Do I have the title document that is required? How easy is it for me to get my C of O?" Some people have lived in their houses, they don't even know that they need anything that looks like a C of O. They've just given up on it. Let me just manage myself. Because that's a document that is required to create the collateral, which now gives the financial institution the base to release funds to you, except where they're doing turnover-based lending. So how do you do that? How do you generate the turnover? So a lot of mismatches at the moment, but we can begin to solve them by really engaging business people. Yes, there are certain policies that have come out and, we're going to fund people, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but think of it, if I'm pouring water in a basket, it's an issue. If you can't transport your goods, if I don't have the security, if I don't have, the support. When I speak of support, I'm saying that you're not trying to increase taxes. I mean, we're here and we're seeing that our lawmakers, our policymakers are thinking the best way is that if government has more money, then that means that the country is doing fine. No, if government has a lot of money and is generating a lot of revenue from the individuals, it is important to look and see, is government actually killing the people or is it supporting the people? So those are some of the things that need to be broken into little bits and driven down. Remember also that more than 80% of the businesses in the country are small businesses. So that means that we're killing the small guy. So the price of the taxi fares we anticipate to go up. Food costs are going to go up. Basic things are going to go up. I mean, so where do we stop? Where do we start? So business needs to be looked at as a business. Government needs to be looked to see its position as supporting businesses and not running, not a revenue generating organization, but an appendage that supports businesses to run.
All right, let's hear from John Bosco. What are your thoughts on the business climes in Nigeria today? Has the government really given that environment for SMEs to thrive?
Essentially, I think the government has done their part, better say their bit in putting the business environment as a place where everybody can go to. It's a marketplace now for all of the businesses that are available. But you see, given our current position in the ranking, it's from ranks, and ranks are not reality in a way. There are other factors that make for this. Now, government is simply there to see what's happening, but then what about the macroeconomic issues down there? Now, the World Bank measure for all of these indices, it's not only is based on certain parameters, but you see security, which is a deeper measure for this, is not factored in the World Bank parameter for ease of doing business. And also, when we talk about access to electricity, it's just about access, connectivity, but what about steady electricity? It's not just access. I could be connected to the grid, but I may not have power to run my business. And these are what clogs the ease of doing business. Then on the trade policy ends, the Ministry of Finance, as well as the CBN, actually most of the time they are conflicting trade policies from both organizations. These are putting clogs into the wheel of the ease of doing business, and most importantly too, government regulatory agencies, I think they are outcompeting themselves. They want to see who makes more money. So it's a projection, I'm going to make 5 trillion this year. Businesses are taxed. Businesses are taxed, businesses are shaken. No, the government regulatory agencies are to create an enabling environment for these businesses to thrive, because it's better for businesses knowing that I can just pay one-off tax in the year and I'm good enough to go. Right? Unlike when you want at the end of your business, at the end of your financial year, you want to renew your tax or do other things. You are filling tons and tons of forms. There's other charges that you need to pay for. These are issues.
But is there any country that actually has that sort of process when it comes to, paying of taxes on their businesses? I mean, most or many countries do have multiple taxes for businesses. Like there are countries that, it's a little harder for you to actually, make it to that billionaire or millionaire status, because the more money you make, the higher taxes you actually get. So when it comes to taxes that we have in Nigeria versus the one that there are in foreign countries, I mean, does Nigeria not have some, level of an advantage in that area?
Let's put it this way. Taxes are meant to be in themselves an incentive set up by government systems to encourage businesses to do the things that they can't do. So if, for instance, I have a corporate organization that is employing people, and those people they're gainfully employed, so I'm providing certain things for them, healthcare and all of that. So that already reduces my tax burden. But if as an individual, I am now having to do all of those things for myself, it increases the tax burden. So if I earn more as an individual and I'm not creating a system that helps to distribute the wealth, the tax system is supposed to kick in. I think that's what John Bosco is referring to. So when you have a system that is skewed towards saying, hey, you know what, if you make more money, let me tax you. For the sake of you make more money, let me tax you. Other than for the sake of if you are circulating those funds within the system. So I am employing people. I am providing them with certain things. So there's wardrobe allowances. Within that, you have systems that helps them to get houses. So there's staff housing. So the funds are moving towards tangible things that help to improve the lives of the people. I shouldn't be paying more taxes. I should be getting tax breaks on the interim. So that's the balance. But what we have now is that an agency says, oh, you are making more money. So on the surface of that, we are fighting you to say, let's get a percentage of what you are earning, rather than to say, oh, we're encouraging you to do more that we can't do. So take another industry would be if other regulatory agencies, so the customs, for instance, will say, oh, we're going to make this amount of money. How do you make that amount of money? If you make it easier for people to bring in the goods that they need to bring in, then the volumes will drive the revenues, rather than the tax rates driving the revenues. So that's a mismatch in how you support, a particular system, or you're saying you're supporting businesses. You're now saying, NAFDAC, for instance. NAFDAC should be an agency that is supporting businesses to meet standards that helps them to operate across the globe, rather than being the ones that stifles them and makes it impossible for them to operate in the first place. So that's where we're having the mismatch. We're not saying that these entities should not exist, but when they exist, the purpose for which they exist should be guided by the leadership of those institutions. That's the important thing. That's key.
Yeah. Interestingly, all of these agencies are simply to create an atmosphere for businesses to try, for citizenry to understand that we have check and balances that allow us do our business, that allow us meet regulations, that allow us produce healthy products. Say in NAFDAC, if you're importing, say, an air conditioner gas, the NAFDAC need to know the standard or where is it coming from, because I think the air conditioner gas, they changed the type recently. So now if I'm doing that as a business, I need to understand that government have my back, that I'm doing this for the citizens to have good health, for the citizens to live comfortably. Now, but all we get is, over time, the government agencies themselves are just showing up, not really doing the work. After a while, maybe if you don't show up to pay your tax, if you don't show up for a while, they understand, oh, there's a gap. We need to locate this person. They go looking for your venue. It should have been the other way around. You're supposed to be, say, in the port of entry to see all of these things coming and do your regulation and support that business, not staying back, trying to just get money, because I believe that they are trying to outdo themselves in revenue, and that's not the goal, really.
All right, so I want to come back to the new CBN e-invoicing, guidelines that were actually put out there. Could you break it down a little more for us, and give us an insight as to how this would actually affect maybe a newbie or even the people who have been operating in that system?
I think the heart of the intention for having an electronic invoicing system is good. So we are able to monitor what is going out there, and then the government has certain incentives that it's supposed to use in supporting businesses that export. So if for instance your export costs you a certain amount, for repatriating the funds, then you have an export incentive. Yeah. So we need to know that you've invoiced right. We need to know that you're not selling a $1,000 or $1,000 product and you're invoicing $70 because arbitrage. You want to put things into the system and then use the black market money to get benefits for yourself, which affects the economy. So we understand that. Now, on the back of that, there already is the trade portal that you can use to do this. So on that trade portal, which is a shared portal, which is the single window, every agency that is required can see it. Now, the policy says that you need to generate a fresh, so this is going to be outside of the existing portal. That's already a challenge. And then when you're doing that, there are certain fees you need to pay. You're going to pay about $350 for engaging in that process, which is a cost annually. That really shouldn't. I mean, why should I engage in having that kind of cost? Then with that, you're now streamlined to a certain benchmark of pricing. So the pricing, it says that whatever item will going to look at the international market, and then will allow you, I think, 2.5% leeway up on the vertical basis. Now, that is not exactly realistic for Nigeria, where we have standards issues. So someone may say, look, if I'm buying your product at this standard, grade A, that is what the global price would be. But we do not have the systems that have helped people to meet grade A. So there are people who would buy that and say, okay, I will take this. Yours is grade E, but I'll use it to blend. Notice that it will not meet that standard for which the global prices are being set. So automatically, you have a $500 product that is being forced to be priced at at 1,000. What will happen? So what needs to happen now is we ought to go back to the system and say, hey, can we standardize Can we start standardizing? Can we start working on standards? One of the major reasons our exports have been rejected is because of standards. So if we solve that problem, then you can easily say, oh, fine, if I say this commodity is X and this is the pricing, you know it's because you are speaking to a particular grade. Right? Then when you leave this again open, CBN is going to say, oh, well, we're going to do our pricing based on what we want to. Then customs is free to do their own and everybody is free to do their own. There's no harmonization. So what you've done is you've just left me. Meanwhile, there's also 1% that I'm going to take off that, whatever export funds you have, for the export, there is a fee that you pay basically to boost the system.
Yeah.
What is that? It becomes a burden instead of a support. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. So we have several policies that have come out that on the surface should be good for us as a country, should be good for us as an economy, but we don't pursue it to the end. The intent seems to be mixed up in one way or another, just like this one is. So if stakeholders had been engaged, stakeholders in fact have been the ones crying out and saying, hey, we need to have these kinds of systems in place. But then you now put it out without proper consultation. And I understand that there are meetings that have gone on after the policy has come out. But those meetings are more or less like, okay, we brought out this policy, this is why we brought out this policy. So there's a difference between we're about to bring out a policy, let's engage and see what we can adjust, and we have done this, let us explain to you what we have done so you can fit in. We cannot continue to offer what I like to refer to as a benevolent dictatorship in the area of policies that affect our economy and think that things are going to go well. So come back to the ranking. We have African countries that are ranking, Morocco, we have Botswana, you have even Ghana, that are ranking in the 80, 60. They're easily
in better positions.
Better positions. And when you check the economies, there is a consistency in policy and implementation. So you take a Mauritius, for instance, and you see in terms of when it comes to credit, in fact, I like to look at Mauritius as one of the financial London of Africa, because they've gotten it right in terms of, okay, this is how you can manage your money, and they don't have issues with it. They've domesticated most of the trade policies that they have, so they have shown that, okay, we're not just talking, we're taking action. I think for businesses to thrive further than, and businesses are thriving. I'm not saying that every business in Nigeria is endangered and is suffering, but it's so much hard work and we can do so much better. We don't need to have our businesses leaving us and going elsewhere. We don't need to have the funds that should have come here, going elsewhere. In 2019, I recall a meeting where the president of Ghana, I was privileged to be in that meeting, and he said something. He said that Nigeria may be the destination, the huge population and all of that, but Ghana is the gateway. And what has happened? They have started positioning themselves as a gateway. So you can see the improvement in what's happening, in what they're doing. If that is so, then what it means is that if we continue along this track, if we're the destination, means that everything is going to be dumped on us, not the other way around. And that's not what you want. You want to also be a gateway to something. So the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement should be a benefit to us. We should leverage that, improve how we process things, bring our business communities together. I mean, there are several hubs. I understand that the Africa Development Bank is trying to work with our government, several state governments, to have production hubs and production centers, processing centers, so to speak. Those kinds of initiatives are what we should drive home to the core. Those things have to drive home to the core. So I like to take things from the fundamentals. Can we take it down to what we teach in schools? Because right now our curriculum seems to be churning out people who would come out to be employees. Can we start training? We want the nation to go in a particular way, so we want them to be entrepreneurs. Can we start putting that into our curriculum? And
it has to start from the grassroots.
To the system.
Or should I say the youngest age, basically, train them up in that way.
Yeah.
All right, so taking a look at the number of businesses. Now, this is John Bosco. This question is for you. We only have a few minutes left to go. We have almost 40 million businesses in Nigeria currently, according to National Bureau of Statistics. But apparently about 34 million of those businesses are actually operating informally. Now, is this a failure on the part of the government to make sure that they actually, optimize them and make sure that they operate in a formal manner?
So, Shaman, each time we write proposals or each time we see government policies come forth, it starts with Nigeria has a population of 200 million plus. Everybody looking at the number. This is the number. This is the number. What can we get off this number? The reason for this is failure on government part. All these businesses are operating informally because the government could have formalized them by creating an environment where these businesses can walk up to, say, a hall and do all of the registration that needs to be done, pay all the taxes that need to be paid. So all of these things are the human factor in this. I could easily go pay my tax, but now I need to know somebody that knows somebody in the tax office. These are the issues. Even government loses revenue in this part.
Yes.
Now, most importantly, these businesses are operating the way they are operating currently because Nigerian businesses, many of the Nigerian businesses are based on survival. Just a few businesses are ready for international trade, are ready to compete with their counterpart across the world. But many of the businesses are informed because of lack of infrastructure, policies, the foreign exchange rate, because you can't do international business if you don't have good forex policy. So these are the issues. These are the reason why these businesses cannot compete. This is why they are just operating at the barest minimum, trying to survive because of their infrastructural gap, trade policies, government agencies that are supposed to regulate, trying to just make revenue, make money off them. But I think the solution here is the government agencies need to understand, just like it's been from inception, that we are simply creating this enabling environment for this business to thrive, correct them, hold their hands, take them, and most importantly, Shaman, we need to even know our strength. What is our strength? We cannot be jack of all trade. What is our strength? What do we, outside of oil and gas, what else can we take up? Because as Mr. Collins has mentioned, we are becoming the dumping ground, and everybody just saying 200 million people, 200 million people, 200 million people. Nobody is even saying, oh, what can we get off these 200 million people as regards export? It's just things coming in a dump, we're becoming a dump site. So the government needs to be alive to this and see how they regulate this business environment and make entry into the marketplace and also businesses in the marketplace easy for everybody.
All right. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to continue on with this discussion. But yes, to the government, we still need an environment that basically, gives businesses the incentives and gives them that, position where they can actually grow and contribute more to the GDP that we're currently trying to up at the moment. All right. So we've come to the end of our show for today, and I would like to thank my guests in the studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Collins, for being a part of the show, and thank you so much, Mr. John Bosco, for also being here. And to our viewers out there, thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to follow us on our social media platforms. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. All you need to do is look up Trust TV News, and you'll definitely find us there. Well, once again, my name is Chamun Dabeng. Come back again for more Business Daily. Let's talk numbers.